You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White sports reporters. Well, we got an update on this Bears situation, particularly when it comes to the Indiana side, because this whole thing was put to a vote. And it was a landslide vote. Of course, to move forward with the measures to get the Chicago Bears to play over in Hammond, Indiana. By the way, not far from Chicago, like 20 minutes. I think it's closer than Arlington Heights, is my understanding. Somebody was telling me I had a supporter of the channel actually email me who lives up there. My ex-wife lives up there. She actually lives about an hour outside of Chicago and has for several years. And so I get the 411 on what's going on locally, all right? At least outside of the city, all right? Whew. It's amazing how different people are when you get an hour outside of Chicago. But, you see that in most states. You get out of the urban area, and all of a sudden, some ideals and ideologies change real fast. And we got J.B. Pritzker running his worthless ass mouth. I'm just keeping it real. I don't believe for a second that Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker give a shit if the Bears move. I don't think they care. They should. All right, they should, because the voters should burn them down over it. But I don't believe the voters in Chicago, even losing the Bears, is going to change how they vote. And it starts at a local level, folks. It does. Let's get to this. Bears Stadium fight escalates as Illinois and Indiana make moves. The next several days will be a critical juncture in the Bears' long, winding pursuit of a new stadium, with significant legislative moves expected in both Illinois and Indiana. As the NFL team is closer to a potential deal to build a dome facility and mixed-use development in Hammond, Indiana, that state's House overwhelmingly passed a bill Tuesday afternoon that would create a state board to finance bonds towards a new stadium, covering about 60% of the project cost. The bipartisan measure, by the way, passed by a 95-4 vote and now moves to the state Senate, where passage is also expected. Indiana's legislation session expires Friday, however, bringing further pressure to the situation. I would love to know what that vote would look like if it was in Illinois, because odds are I don't think it'd be 95-4. I don't. Indiana is looking to fund the bill through a variety of local taxes, similar to the structure used to finance Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Quote, the investment will bring jobs, economic development, population growth, tourism, new tax revenues, and new businesses, said Indiana House Speaker Todd Houston. It will be a catalyst for growth across the entire Northwest Indiana corridor. Whether that happens remains to be seen, even with a stadium, as the region is among the most economically challenged areas in the entire country. Are you sure about that, front office sports? Let's just put it this way. Front office sports is going to side with anything in Illinois. There is massive agenda in their reporting, unfortunately. And there can be, too, from Florio. So J.B. Pritzker has weighed in on this right here. Quote, I'm very interested to see how the people of Indiana and voters of Indiana feel about massive increases in taxes that are being proposed about paying for a stadium in Indiana for the Chicago Bears. They understand. Let's just flip back. Will bring jobs, economic development, population growth, tourism, and new tax revenues and new businesses. The area is about to financially explode. And that area is about to make a lot more money. My gut feeling is they're okay with a couple of little local taxes. But that's the mindset for Pritzker, right? Pritzker added that the negotiations with Illinois are ongoing. I believe the Bears should be based in Illinois, and I'm going to do everything I can without harming the taxpayers of Illinois in the process of trying to keep them in the state. They're gone. They're gone. I mean, I thought there was a chance they might work out the deal, but I've said before, because people have asked me, well, why do you think the local taxpayers ought to pay anything? Well, I mean, look, maybe because I'm in Texas, but you know exactly what the Cowboys have generated in and around that stadium where it's developed. I mean, it's a gold mine up there. They're printing money. They're printing money. These entertainment districts, hotels, restaurants, people are getting jobs out of this. Never mind a few little taxes. You're getting actual employment out of this. Not to mention something to do. Entertainment, you know? There's a reason why this is a priority for Indiana, because they're going to figure out how to make it work, and the people that live in around that region are going to, I mean, can you imagine? Look at it this way. Can you imagine ripping the Packers out of Green Bay? The town would turn into it would be a ghost town. You know? Well, that's what they're trying to do, is take an institution like the Bears. This would be like if somebody, I'm just using the example, 70 miles over, 30 miles over, 20 miles over, have an opportunity to supplant the Green Bay Packers and drop them over in another location. Do you think a city or a town's not going to jump at that? A state? If they could move states, they'd be all over it. The Chicago Bears, somebody brought up the other day, well, they could take the Bears out of Illinois and Indiana and drop it right in between San Antonio and Austin. Those people would tap their veins to get an NFL franchise down there. And I mean, that area is it's become basically Dallas-Fort Worth secondary in this state. But that's my point. People would froth at the mouth to have that brought in. Locals. Anybody that's got any actual financial acumen anyway. I've got to be real. I think there's a large portion of Chicago residents that don't give a shit about the Bears. And I think that's a problem for the Bears. And I think the Bears kind of know it. I'm not saying the fans don't care. The fans of the Bears care. But I think, look, not everybody's a fan of the NFL. It is what it is. It's not going to be they'd rather take money and shove that taxpayer's money into some fucking social cause up there. You damn sure ain't going to shove it into thwarting crime, are they? Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.